Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unleash Her. I'm Roberta, your host for today's podcast, and I have a special guest with me today. I cannot wait to introduce you to her, Miss Melanie Hustis. I said it right.
You
Yay.
did.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Roberta. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you here. And we're just getting to know each other too. So I think this is going
Yeah.
to be such a great conversation
I agree.
because and reading your bio and everything, I know the first thing for me, and I know a little bit about this, but I want to know and I want others to know, what is an energy alchemist?
So,
And
sorry.
tell us about yourself. Yeah.
So, an energy alchemist is a made-up title that I came up with to try and describe what it is that I have been doing for decades. And every time I tried other labels like medium or psychic or energy healer, it just didn't quite define it in the way that felt right to me. So, alchemy is the process of changing lead into gold. And what I do is I work with women to turn lead or what is heavy in their lives, whether that's a relationship, physical illness, wanting to, move into a different career, into what is light and sparkly and shiny, into the gold in their life. And I
Wow.
do it through working with energy. So that's why I came up with Energy Alchemist.
I love that. And
Thank
I
you.
love your authenticity, which that's what we're about here too. We're raw
Mhm.
and real. We are authentic, and I love that.
Agree.
So, so this energy healing and everything. So,
Mhm.
when did that first begin for you?
So the healing part probably came in my 30s. I've always been connected to spirit. I've always talked to my guides and people who have passed. But when I was in my 30s, my youngest child actually got possessed. And we struggled for 4 years to try and figure out what was going on with her. We thought it was a developmental issue. We thought it was, defiance, behavioral. We thought it was, food intolerances. And
Yeah.
after 4 years, we were led to a shaman who overnight healed everything within my child. And he gave me homework that I had to do with her to help her heal. And so I'd always had that communication in place, but he kind of opened up that doorway to there being another layer to how I could work with energy and how I could help people in that way.
That is amazing. So, I'm sure we're all thinking, how did you when you say, she was possessed or
Yeah.
something happened to her, like, how do you explain that? What do you
Well,
think? Like,
it was, it's funny, when I was pregnant with her, I still had my eldest was 2, was not ready for another child yet. I
yeah.
remember praying to God and saying, please, God, give me 3 months. I need 3 months of peace so that I can adjust to having 2 children, that I can figure all this out. And when she was born, she was such a calm and happy baby, and everything was beautiful. And then, literally, at 3 months, everything changed, and she would scream nonstop, wouldn't be able to settle, couldn't digest food properly. And it wasn't until she got a little bit older, but you could see her eyes would change. She would be acting one way and her eyes would change, and then she became almost animalistic. She had crazy amounts of strength. Like at 2, she could pick things up that I would struggle to pick up and throw them. And I mean, we did not go there. That never crossed my mind that that's what was happening. But when we figured out that's what it was, like I said, everything changed instantly for the better. And now that I work with that type of energy, if I were to see that in someone else now, I could instantly recognize it. But back then, it wasn't within my realm of experience.
Yeah. Wow. And don't you think too, now looking back, you're like, okay, maybe this happened because this was part of your purpose?
Oh, absolutely. I think everything that
Yeah.
happens is for us, not to us. And again,
Yes.
through deeper exploration, we discovered that we were together in a previous lifetime with some dark energy, and we agreed to come together in this lifetime so that we could empower each other and to heal each other. So it's all part and parcel of why we're here for sure.
Yeah. A few years ago, we went to see a shaman and I was totally like, I have no idea what's going on. I
Yeah.
didn't get it. I didn't understand it. This was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And so, but I understand things a lot differently now.
Hmm.
And I want others to too. I want others to really just really open your eyes, be aware, feel the things. And I think a lot of it too, we're just so distracted. How do we, how do you, how do you find that
How do you
connect?
find the
How do
what's?
how do you find peace and everything when the world's so chaotic and
Well, I think honestly, this is the perfect time to practice finding peace. If you're on a beach somewhere all by yourself, there's no one around, everything's amazing. It's quite easy to slip into that meditative state, that place of gratitude. But the reality is that being human is chaotic, and we are here to experience the whole gamut, the good, the bad, the ugly. So if we can learn in chaos, in upheaval, in discomfort, to be joyful, to be grateful, to have peace, then you don't have to push through. You don't have to wait for things to change. It's
yeah.
just, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a
Yeah.
gift to be able
Yeah.
to practice
Mhm.
in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for me, it's just I would just take a walk down to the river and oh wow, everything just quiets. I quiet my mind. I take my shoes off, get my bare feet into the ground, and I feel so connected.
Which is beautiful. And again, I would say
Yeah.
trying to do that without having to go down to the water,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the challenge. So, what I have found, we
Yeah.
mentioned it a little bit earlier, I believe everything happens for me.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
truly believe that. And
I do
if I
too.
believe that, then every shitty thing that happens is happening for me. Every conversation that makes me get sweaty is happening for me. And so, if I can remind myself of what I believe, then I can see that there's actually a blessing in every situation. And when I can focus on where's the blessing rather than why is this happening? How do I change this? My body will shift into that piece that you're talking about,
Mhm.
that you walk down to the water and you put your feet in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's so good because for the longest time I thought things were happening to me. Why is this happening? And I know there's
Yeah.
so many people out there that are saying that. But
Hmm.
oh, once I realized these things that did happen to me, I just changed my thinking. I mean, what else what suggestions or do you have for people to tap into that?
Well, I think, first of all, you have to get clear on what you do believe, because perhaps your beliefs are different than mine. And if you think that things happen to you, then you're just going to be wasting your energy, right? But I think most people believe in something greater than themselves. It doesn't have to be God, it doesn't have to be source, it could even just be energy, right? It could be science. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. But if you look to that experience that you believe unites us all, connects us all, it has to have a connection to us as well, right? So if you can find what lines up with your beliefs and remind yourself of that, I am not alone in this, or there is purpose in what is happening to me, or even just understanding that we come from love. It's going to look different for everybody. But the biggest mistake I see when people are trying to find peace in their lives is forcing themselves to believe something that actually isn't true for them, right? Like, say, listening to you and say, okay, well, everything's happening for me. But if I don't believe that and I keep repeating that, there's going to be a disconnect, and my body's going to feel it and my brain's going to be like, something's not connecting here. And then we think, well, what's wrong with us? Why am I not feeling peace? I'm doing what Roberta's doing. I'm doing what Melanie's doing. and
Mhm.
it's not working.
Mhm.
So finding your truth, and
Yeah.
even if you can find the teeniest, tiniest little nugget of positivity in that truth, or the hope for something better in that truth, I think you
Yeah.
have to start there.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. You know, it's funny because we really don't know each other, and we were talking, I was asking you if, you knew my mentor. You did not. And but I'm telling you, the things that you're saying are so much of what I have tapped into in the past year or two.
Yeah. Well, I find
Completely.
we tend to be more
Mhm.
similar than we're different. And
Yeah.
when we do have those perceived differences, it's typically in a perspective or in an opinion, not in the essence of who we are, what we believe.
Yeah. One of the things that I learned too is the biggest thing is like to not react to things because we're so used to just being so react. But if
Mhm.
you really just come from a place of, okay, take a moment to respond when things do happen to you, when contrast happens in your life,
Mhm.
you know. So how can you help others? Is that with your healing? Because this is one thing I didn't understand. I was like, wait, how can someone help you if you're not like face to face? I get it now,
Right.
but how can you explain that to others? Because I
Well, the
like,
simplest way to explain it is that energy is not bound by time or space. I mean, scientifically, we know this, right? So if energy is not bound by time or
yeah,
space, whether we're in the same room or we're across the world from each other, we are still connected,
yeah,
right? So when one
yeah,
person or even one cell changes, everything that is connected within the quantum field can be affected. And how we gauge that is through intention.
yeah.
So if two people show up
Mhm.
at the same time and the same day with the intention that we are going to work together, we're going to connect, then there's absolutely no block in the way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be open.
You have to be open. You have to be, well, I wouldn't even say you have to be honest.
Okay.
There are some people that'll
Okay.
show up and be like, I don't know about
Yeah.
this. I'm like, that's cool. And we just kind of see where it goes. But there's three levels that I have found that are essential to healing, to feeling at peace, like you're talking about in your life.
Yeah.
And it's trauma healing. It's accepting that we are all connected to source, to spirit, to God, to whatever you want to call that energy. And the last piece, which is usually the hardest for people, is radical acceptance of yourself, of your situation, of the world as it is, because you can't facilitate change until you get real about where you are.
Oh my goodness. That's so good. And living in the present moment, I still sometimes will find myself distracted. It's like, wait, I'm not here. I'm here, but I'm not really here.
Yeah. Welcome to being human, right?
Yeah. Get out of
Same
your
for
human.
me. It's the same for everyone.
Yeah.
There's not a person on this
Yeah.
planet that's like Zen
Okay.
all the time and has
Yeah.
everything hammered out. That's not the point
Yeah.
of being here, right? The point of being here is to have a human experience,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is just, it's so interesting. And, Unleash Her is about confidence too.
Mhm.
And you seem to just you do have this like confident aura about you. So have you always been that way?
So I think I have always been this way to some extent. But like I mentioned to you when we were chatting ahead of time,
Yeah.
when you asked me about confidence, I hadn't really thought about it.
Mhm.
And so I spent the past couple days just kind of thinking about
Mhm.
how am I in this energy? And what came forward for me, which was kind of surprising, it's not what I have done to become more confident, it's what I have let go of that was blocking my confidence. Right. So we often think, well, I have to practice speaking or I have to, work on my appearance so that I feel really good in my body or whatever these things are. But what has helped me is things like allowing myself to just fuck it up.
Yeah.
right? Like I
Yeah.
could absolutely fail and flop and be cool with that. So like there's no pressure to show up in any way because I'm not expecting to do a good job, right? I'm just expecting to be me.
Yeah.
Things like letting go of responsibility of what other people think of me,
Yes.
right? If I have an idea of I want people to be really inspired by what I'm saying, I'm going to have a list of what I want to talk about. I'm going to try and stick to that list. And that authenticity that you mentioned just goes out the window.
Hmm.
But what I truly believe is that every single one of us has a message to give. And no matter how it flies out of our mouths, no matter who is present, there is someone that's going to hear exactly what they need. Right. And if I try and edit that, I'm keeping the message back from the person who actually needs to hear it.
Yeah.
So it's all of these ways of just unraveling expectation, basically, and giving myself permission to just go with the flow, see what happens, and not judge myself at the end of it. So, what have I got to be afraid of? Right? If there's no failure, if everything I do is great, and
Hmm.
when I say great, I don't mean right or
Hmm.
positive, but okay,
Hmm.
right? That radical acceptance I was talking about earlier, then there's no reason for me to shy away from any interaction that I feel called to.
Yeah.
Whether that's, a podcast, whether that's speaking on a stage, whether that's talking to a stranger at the bus stop. If I'm feeling like I am valuable just because I'm breathing, not because I have to prove anything,
Hmm.
then there's nothing to take that confidence away.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I felt like you were talking about me so many times there.
Yeah. I know. I can feel it too. We definitely have a
Ah,
connection. And I
it
hope
was-
that other people will see themselves in that too, right? That's the whole point. We are so
Yeah.
similar and we can
Yeah.
learn from each other.
Yeah. That's it. Because for me too, I thought if I dress a certain way, act a certain way, then people will respect me and look at me differently.
Yes.
But it didn't matter what other people were thinking.
Mhm.
What did I think about myself?
Exactly. And for some people, that's going to be getting dressed to the nines, having your makeup perfect, having everything on point. And you are going to speak to the people who also have that as a priority in their lives.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
For me, I show up a lot of the time in my pajamas without makeup, like crazy hair, because that's just who I am.
Yeah.
But then I attract the people that also like to hang out in their pajamas with no makeup and crazy hair.
Right.
So it's like what I was saying before, when you just show up as yourself, how you feel comfortable, what feels amazing for you, you're automatically sending a calling card out to attract your people.
Yeah.
And if you show up as something that isn't you, you're sending out a calling card to people that aren't for you.
Yeah.
And then you're going to wonder why the relationship feels strange or your business isn't growing or you feel not confident in yourself. And
Yeah.
that's why the misalignment.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. So do you work with mentors? You have coaches or mentors that helped you along your journey? I
So
mean,
I have had obviously people that
mhm.
I've worked with along the way, most of which are friends more than official
Wow.
mentors. And the way that I work and the conclusions that I'm currently sitting with, because I'm always changing my mind, honestly have come from experience more than anything else. I prefer to try something out, see what I think about it, and then have a conversation with someone else to see what their experience was like.
Yeah.
Right. And if we look
Yeah.
at the trauma healing, definitely two mentors I've worked with is Gabor Mate and Irene Lyon. I mean, that's the actual scientific learning about the nervous system, the body, how it works.
Okay.
But the spiritual side, a lot of it has been experience, trial, and
Yeah.
error.
Yeah. Wow. Because, when I was in the process of this, I was telling you before our call that Unleash Her came about, like, it came about last year, last summer, almost a
Mhm.
year ago. And, but I wasn't her. I wasn't, I knew what I wanted, but it took
Mhm.
a while to kind of like step into that.
Yeah.
and really getting to know myself and who I wanted to be. So I think that's so good. Everybody has this journey and some people reach it, others, although I think we're always learning and growing too.
Well, we are. I don't think there is an end. I don't want there to be an end,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
Because I am constantly changing and evolving and
Yeah.
certainly enjoy life that way. It's much more interesting. And if you get to the so-called end and you're still alive and you're still here, like, what are you going to do with the rest of your life?
I know.
Right?
Yeah. If you were handed every single thing that you wanted today.
What would you do? And some people would say I'd sit back and enjoy it.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah, you sit back and enjoy it. But I like more of an adventure personally.
Mhm. Yes, a
Mhm.
challenge. Not a competition with others, but just with myself.
Yes.
Continue to grow and to learn,
Yes.
right?
How can I do things differently? What would be a possibly better way? How can I feel more connected? What brings me more joy? Right?
Yeah.
That's one thing I think we miss a lot. What brings me joy and pleasure?
Yeah.
Go
What brings
seek
you
that
joy?
out. Oh my gosh, like so much. Right now, it's playing the ukulele.
Ah,
I had a birthday in March and I bought
ah,
myself a ukulele and I've been teaching myself how to play. And
ah.
it is so light and just, I literally do it for fun, for no other reason.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you just find things that you love and you continue to do that.
I just follow what I want to do, my
That's good.
impulses, my urges. If you're
Mhm.
driving home from work and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to go into that store.
Mhm.
Pull off, go into that store. There's something there for you.
Yeah.
If you're having a conversation with someone and something pops into your head that you're like, ooh, that's not normally something I would talk about it. There's something there for you. All of us have within ourselves the information that we are seeking, right? The answers that we are trying to find. It's all within us, and we will be guided in the right direction with these desires, with pleasure, right? Whatever it is that lights you up. And if we can just give ourselves permission to be curious and follow that, it's not really hard work to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
Just
good.
follow the joy. And if it's to a ukulele, awesome. Right.
Right?
And if it's to a burger and a beer, awesome. Whatever it is that is
Mhm.
giving you that spark, that to me is
Mhm.
divine intervention.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just being tuned into your intuition,
Yes.
just being led when you really relax and just let, and you
Mhm.
get this idea, and it's like, oh, why do I, huh? It's that.
Like, oh, maybe I should start a podcast and look where you are
Yeah.
a year later. Right?
Yes. Right. I was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to do that.
Hmm.
I fought it though.
Well, exactly, because that's ego, right?
Yes.
We as humans have ego to
Oh,
keep us small and safe.
my ego was like, that is way too hard. You can't do that.
Clearly, ego was wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. So we all have that voice.
Yeah.
And I don't think you ever move into a space where you don't have that doubt. You just don't let it stop you. That's
Yeah.
the difference.
Yeah. What about like, so your family, your kids, people around you, you
Hmm.
know, um, and your kids though, how are they doing? And how do they are they the same way? They feel the energy, they're being led.
So they both have the ability, and I believe everyone
Mhm.
has the ability. That's a big part of the work I do is helping people connect to their own spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
One has decided to kind of not engage with that, which is
Yeah.
totally fine. I did the same thing when I was in my 20s and 30s. And then the other one is very open, and it's so cool and it's so confirming because if I see a spirit in the house, and then, a little while later, she'll be like, oh, did you see that guy with the green pants? And I'll be like, yes, it isn't just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my husband thinks we're all crazy, not believe in this stuff at all. So we call him the normal one
Okay.
with quotes, normal.
Right.
Because he's
Right. Right. So so everybody's okay with that. He's like, yeah, this is me.
well,
And
yeah, we support each other in
yeah.
following our own dreams.
Yeah.
And all four of us have radically different dreams. But it
Yeah.
doesn't mean we can't cheer each other on and celebrate success and console when it doesn't go the way we want. I think when we only engage with people who have similar paths, similar interests, we're missing out on
Yeah.
so much learning, so much
I know.
experience, so many different perspectives that would not be available to us. So I really love the fact that we're not on the same page a lot of the time.
Right. Yeah. And I was just thinking too. So what we do with our kids sometimes is we're like, oh, you're wearing this today. But you're doing this, you're wearing this, you're going here or there. Sometimes a lot of times it's better to give them a choice. And it's not like they're saying whatever you want to do. We're not saying that. Or with clothes. It's like you can wear this outfit or this one. Give them a choice. Give them some options. I remember when my daughter was little. She was probably like 2, 3-ish, something like that. She had this little princess dress. She wanted to wear it every day. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." We were leaving the house to go somewhere and she wanted to wear it and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah,
I
doesn't
mean,
matter.
we it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's your authentic self. If that's what you
Yes.
love, what's wrong with that?
Exactly.
But we're so programmed.
Well, and I think that's it. It's that word. We've been programmed. We
Mm,
have been taught to be small, to play small, to hide our lights, to not make others too uncomfortable, to not be the weird one.
yeah.
And that's because that's where our magic lies and that's where our power lies. And it's intimidating.
Yeah.
So I think we need to take that back and do
I
whatever
know.
we want to do.
I do too. I've been a hairstylist for many, many years and people will come into the salon and they're like, like women would say, "Oh my goodness, like, should I cut my hair?" I'm over 50. "Should I cut all my hair off? Because 'Cause I'm that age." And I was like, "Who who set that rule? Who made that?
Yeah.
It's crazy."
Yeah. But we do. A lot of people live their lives for the opinions of other people.
Yeah, I
And I can
did.
tell you the earlier that we can learn, that's one thing I'm really grateful for is I was always the weird kid. I was always a little outside. And at the time it was challenging,
Yeah.
but I think that's part of
Mhm.
the confidence that we've been talking about. I'm so okay being alone, standing by
Mhm.
myself
Mhm.
that I don't feel the need to cater to others. And that's really freeing.
So much so. I was a follower. I I was a chameleon
Yeah.
to everything and everyone around me. But to be like that, that confidence is just amazing. Have your kids, they've got that?
My one does. My one has way more than I have. She is a powerhouse.
Ah!
And the other one is she's
Sounds like
learning.
mine.
She's learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have different paths to get to where we want to be. But there's value in every single way to get there.
Yeah.
It's not that one is better or one is, even faster. Like it may look that way externally, but you often miss everything that's shifting on the inside, the thought patterns, the
Mhm.
belief systems, even the way the cells work in the body. There's so much that goes into these transformations. And some people, it seems like, boom, overnight, everything's different. And really, it's been, a decade of everything getting ready to shift.
Mhm.
And then other people externally, you see steady steps,
Yeah.
but it's just a different way of becoming, of unleashing, if you
Uh-huh.
will. right?
Yes. Yeah. Becoming
Yeah.
and yeah, and allowing yourself to become unleashed, I felt like, because I did. I
Yes.
felt like I was very, very just tied down and weighted down. And I'm sure a lot of that was my upbringing, and I'm not complaining about that
Beautiful.
because it made me who I am today.
Exactly.
Talk right? Even talk about having one of the questions, is there anything that you would do differently in your past?
Hmm.
It's like, no, no, I don't regret anything. It made me
Hmm.
who I am today. Isn't
Yes.
that's how we're supposed to be, right?
And I also believe, because I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I
Yeah.
also believe that no matter what choices we do make, we are still going to receive the same lessons. We're going to still receive the same healing. We're still going to end up in the same place. So you actually can't make a wrong decision.
Yeah.
It's simply a different way of getting to where you know
Yeah.
you're going to end up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Can you tap into that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. I believe that when we incarnate into human form, when our souls come down into these bodies, that we have a starting point, obviously at birth, and then
Yeah.
we have an ending point when we die. And there are certain lessons, certain experiences, perhaps, that we want to have while we are here, but we have free will and we get to choose how that unravels. So let's say one of the things I want to experience is how to overcome grief. So maybe in my lifetime, I'm going to get into a relationship that really rocks my world. And, I have to spend years of learning how to be with that grief and how to overcome that grief and how to reconcile the relationship. Or maybe it's going to be I'm a super sensitive person that when I see an earthworm dying on the street, that I become overwhelmed with grief,
Mhm.
right? Or maybe it's going to be something completely different. There are so many possibilities, unlimited possibilities for us as humans to experience what we want to experience. And we will get it every time, we'll get it right. It's just going to look different. I don't know if I'm explaining that in a way that is clear.
I think so. And one of the things that comes into my head is like, so do you believe that we might get dealt the same cards until we learn to make a different decision, until we learn to do things differently? Then it takes you to like the next step. Is that a good way of, they're like, no, here it is again. You didn't get it.
I do believe that that happens. I have a slightly different perspective on it. I
Okay.
don't believe that we are given the same lesson until we like hurry up and learn it already. So then you
Okay.
can pass go. I
Yeah.
believe that we are given multiple opportunities to experience what we want to experience in this lifetime. So it's not punitive. It's not like you have to do this in order to move on. At any
Mm.
time, the soul can decide, like, I'm done with this, I'm moving forward. But the universe will always give us what we are seeking. And if we continue
Mm.
to make the same choice, the universe will assume that's what we want more of. So let me support you in your journey. Here's more of the same. So the effect on a human level is, oh, fuck, here I am again. I thought I already healed this. We're in that cycle, but it's not being done to us. It's that we are being given exactly what we are asking for.
Mhm.
So we need to start asking for something different.
Mhm. And so how do you do that?
Intention,
Mhm.
setting an intention for what you want to, not what you want to have. That I see a lot. It's not what you want to have, it's what you want to feel. So if I ask you, well, I will ask you, what is your pie in the sky dream? If everything could just, you snap your fingers and everything would be the way you wanted it, what would you want?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
I want to be free. I want to be free to do the things that I want to do. Okay,
Okay.
freedom, make the
Yeah.
choices that I want,
Okay.
and to just be myself and enjoy life
Okay.
and find the things that I love. And that's what I've been doing, all these years. Is like, I have to do this. I don't want to do that. If it
Yeah.
doesn't feel good, isn't that the biggest thing? If it doesn't feel good, don't do it.
Yes. And see, this is exactly what I would recommend. Exactly what you said.
Yeah.
So most people will say to me,
Yeah.
I want to be a millionaire. We'll just use that as an example. Or I want to be in the
Uh-huh.
perfect relationship. Or
Mhm.
I want the fancy car.
Mhm.
They'll have a
Mm.
thing
Yeah.
that they want.
Yeah.
So let's say it's the
Yeah.
the million, be a millionaire. So then I would say to them, amazing. What are you going to feel? Like, what do you want to feel? And when
Mhm.
you go underneath it, you don't actually
Mhm.
want to be a millionaire. You
Mhm.
want to feel free. You want to feel
Mhm.
secure. You want to feel safe.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wait to be a millionaire to call in freedom and
Mhm.
safety and security. You can do that today. And that's where you start. Where in my life today can I find one little pocket of freedom? Maybe I'll say no to my boss when they ask me to work overtime. Boom, freedom. You're already living the dream.
Mhm.
And like I was saying
Yeah.
earlier, the universe will constantly bring you what you were asking for. So every time you step into experiencing what you want right now, the universe notices and will bring you more.
You are speaking my language. Let me
Oh,
tell you what.
yeah. So it's exactly what you said, right? How do you want to
Yeah.
feel?
Yeah.
How can you give it to
How?
yourself today?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you create your dreams.
Yeah. How do you want to feel?
Mhm. And like you said, if it's not in alignment with how you want to feel, it's not for you right now.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just not for you right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like with, okay, with the podcast. So what was it, a year ago? I'm like, I'm going to start my podcast. And then it was like, oh, no, that feels heavy.
Mhm.
And then when I was ready, I was stepping into that. It was like, oh, whoa, I'm doing this. This
Yeah.
is easy. It should feel good. It should feel easy.
Yes.
And if it feels hard, just take a step back.
And I would say it's okay to have to put in hard work,
Uh-huh.
but you should have
Right.
ease and
Yeah.
flow
Mhm.
in that effort. It
Yes.
shouldn't feel heavy, like you said.
Right. Right. That's the thing too, is that I've learned you can work so much less.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
We got to get this through to people. Please help me.
It's a matter of opening up to receive rather than hustling to make it happen.
Okay, you have to explain that because this took me a while.
Okay.
The open
So
to receive thing.
we're taught in our society to hustle, 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 make
Mhm.
it happen, work harder, do more, get more, be more, right? It's drilled into our heads from the time we are children. And I believe that you can do that, absolutely.
Mhm.
But what I see more times than not is when people actually get there, they're not feeling the way they want to feel.
Yeah.
They've got the job, they've got the
Mhm.
car, they've got the relationship, and they feel like something is missing.
Yes.
And so, in order to hustle, to work hard like that, we actually tense up. We contract within the physical body and oftentimes within the brain as well. And there's not space for that joy, for that pleasure to come in. And so, what I have found is if you can, and literally start with your body, notice, are your shoulders up at your ears? You're not doing it the way that you need to do it.
Yeah.
Bring the shoulders down.
Yeah.
Is your
Yeah.
digestion a mess?
Yeah.
These signs are your body saying you're contracting, you're holding, you're forcing. And even if you get what you're working for, when you're forcing it, it's not going to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
So bring down the shoulders, release the belly, right? Shake out that tension. Breathe. I just saw you take a beautiful
Mhm.
deep breath. Breathe. Allow
Yes.
that air to come into your body. And then just kind of sit back and look at what's available to you. You will get to where you want to go so much faster if you work within the realm of current possibilities than if you force yourself to try and make something happen. And the biggest kicker here is that 9 times out of 10, it's not even what you want, it's what you've been told you should want, right?
Mhm.
So I spent the past few years really inviting in less.
Mm.
And it's so freeing. So freeing.
Yes. I am just cracking up because if you can see, if you're watching us, I am not in my usual spot today. And I had a little contrast or something kind of hit me earlier today. And I was a little aggravated for a few minutes. And then I thought, why am I aggravated? I can do it differently. I can do it this way. I have other choices. Who says that I have to do the podcast in the same place I always do? Blah, blah, blah. I packed up my stuff.
So, Roberta, I have to share with you
Yeah.
this morning, not this morning, this afternoon. So we met at 2 o'clock. I got an overwhelming urge to reorganize my entire office. And I'm literally sitting in a totally different place than I was sitting at noon in my office today because I'm like, no, we got to change the location, mix things up. Isn't that
Oh
cool?
my
So there
gosh.
was
Yes.
something connected between us.
Yeah.
And we both felt it. So what did we do? We honored it. We didn't
Yes.
force, we didn't push against. We opened up to, don't know why, but let's roll with it. And I guarantee you the conversation we're having right now is a part of that energy that was shifted earlier today.
Whoa.
So I'm glad you
I
mentioned that.
know. I know. You too.
Mhm.
I'm so glad. Yeah, if you look at my other podcasts, they've all had the same background except
Yeah.
for today.
Or a little
So
different.
I was like, actually,
So I would be
yeah.
curious to know how many people listening have recently had an urge to shake something up that didn't make sense or were presented with something that was not what they were expected. And how could they lean into something even better coming in for them?
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Who else has had this thought? Okay, I'm doing it different today.
Yeah,
And it feels really good.
exactly.
I love this. Oh my gosh. Melanie, this has been great. We could talk forever, I think.
I
This we're gonna
haven't
have
been
to
timing. I have no idea.
Oh god, oh yeah, right. We're gonna have to do this again and see where we end up next time and
Oh, that'd be
what
amazing.
ends up behind us.
Exactly. Where we're speaking from, a different country.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I love this. Aw. Is there anything else that you want to share before we jump off of here with anyone?
Yes, the one thing I
Listening?
would like to finish with is no matter where you are in your journey, your confidence journey, your healing journey, whatever it is that you're working on, you're exactly where you meant to be, where you are meant to be, rather,
Mhm.
even if it doesn't feel like you're in alignment, if you are open and curious, you're exactly where you need to be. You can't mess it up. Just take one step and then take another and keep going. And I promise you, you'll get to where you need to be.
I love that. And if anyone wants to reach out to you and they need a little guidance, they need a little help, um, they can do that through
Yeah, my
social.
website is melaniehustis.com. I'm on Instagram at Melanie Hustis. It's a rare name. I'm easy to find.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone who would like a little support.
Thank you. And we'll have all of that information also listed here below. So thank you so much. This has been fun.
Thank you for
I'm
having me.
You're very welcome. I'm so glad this worked out. Thank you for being patient with me.
You said that earlier, and I think everything is in perfect timing.
That I was gonna say, yeah.
Of
That's
course you
how
are.
this is exactly how it was supposed to be.
Yes.
Okay, people. So, thank you everyone again. And um yeah, reach out to Melanie. Um, and if I have my VIP coaching as well. So if you want to discuss some things with me, I would love to talk to you. And one of the things that I decided I really had this calling when I started this podcast that I wanted to end with uh, not goodbye, because my grandma She's so dear to me. And I don't like to, she never, I guess she didn't like to say goodbye. I don't know. But I'm going to leave my podcast instead of goodbye. I'm going to say so long. See you later.